And shall we say the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah.
We were rehashing before you got here a little bit about last night. I thought it went well, but I said the metal meets the road when the ordinance gets developed.
Right, well, maybe I'm gonna try to,
Hit your button.
I didn't really want to. We'll see about, I'll talk to Chris Gilden-Schwartz about getting that ordinance put into place, and maybe we can have it voted on, and they can vote yes or no, and see how they feel.
I mean, again,
I-
I thought we did very, very well, and I was complimenting the fact that you've seen now both sides from like the management city side, a certain perspective on it, and then you saw being on, in this world as a representative, part of the other side, and I was really happy that you seemed like, yeah, I can understand what's going on. I said to me that was, you were saying nice things about you, or I was your uncle, I'm not sure.
But I think, you know, I was trying to bring on people to the understanding that we have to keep traffic flowing through that area. And the reason we want to go down Jackson Street is because we're cutting off the traffic that gets backed up on Carpenter's Lane. So if you cut through, then you're not going to have that holdup for that jitney to go back as,
Right. That's
That's
a very,
quick.
very valid, I mean, point. I told that, I said that as well, because now you have whatever it was, continuity of time and things.
right,
So
yeah.
You can't say, well, I was gonna be here 20 minutes ago, but the garbage truck caught on fire.
Yeah.
And Jackson Street,
Thank heavens that didn't happen on Jackson Street. Whew.
Oh, my gosh, can you imagine?
no, I don't even wanna think about that.
Well, it's, this time of the year, it was a good thing it happened instead of
Yeah,
Summertime.
true. Try to
right in the
July.
middle of
One
summertime.
of the main points, we were all here except, you,
Turn your button on there, sir.
Turn it on. Last night, those of us who were attended, that there was also the idea that Jackson Street is the most beautiful, if not the most prominent street in Cape May, and obviously there are other contenders. I'm not saying that Jackson Street is just one of the, it's part of the jewels in the crown, and that people should be able to go down Jackson Street with the idea that they're going in Paris on the, you know, Champs-Élysées, or in the Bronx, the Grand Concourse, in Philadelphia, in front of, you know, Rocky. If Cape May is a historic city and wants to sell itself at that with all the beauty, then you want to make everybody that goes down Jackson Street hopefully unencumbered, because it gives them a better feeling than getting stuck behind, you know, one garbage truck, one tow truck, and
Well,
the hotel
actually,
guests.
Jackson Street's one of the older streets, too. I think
Yeah.
it's maybe the second or third street that was really,
Did it survive the fires or no?
yeah.
yeah.
Did it?
Well, yeah, well, it's jumped over.
Yeah, oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah, because on the right side of the street, you have seven houses for seven sisters from George Hildreth, who also built the Caravilla Hotel. So when you go down there, it's just these seven beautiful houses that all look the same, but they're all a different color. And then it's a very stately street, you know, and it should be able to be enjoyed. And then, you know, for transportation, the same thing. You put something down by the hot dog place, transit can stop there, go around, and then you've got your whole thing of fluidity.
Well, listen, Bonnie and I, we don't want to argue with you. We think Columbia's the best.
Oh, hold on. It's
Oh,
three to,
three of us. Yeah, Stacy, Bonnie, and I.
Well, I mean, you have to,
we're just messing with you.
that's the thing, you have to vote for your home team. I'm not voting for Columbia if I'm on Jackson, I'm sorry. So,
But,
understood.
all right, before we go on any further, we need to approve the meeting minutes from the November 2nd meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Talking about the transportation system and coming down Jackson Street, it's really important that we do have it come down Jackson Street. First of all, even though it's a narrow street, there's only parking on one side of the street. If we had it have to go all the way to Perry Street, that's pretty narrow there, going down that street, and then around. You know, it's going to
And the-
slow it down.
Yeah.
where if you come down, and if you pick somebody up at the school, you're gonna come down, they're gonna say, oh, look at the mall, and then you're gonna come a little bit further, look at the houses, then look at Beach Drive. So you're kind of hitting everything for them.
And then make a left.
Wherever, yeah, then you make a left,
Right.
and then you're going back up by the mall if you want to go pick up people at the other end of the mall, and then you're back to,
Yeah, that's a great, I mean, that's,
I tried to map out
oh, okay.
our discussion from the last meeting. The blue is the route you're just talking about. It goes from elementary school down Lafayette to Jackson, comes across Ocean, up to Washington, down Washington, up Madison,
It-
back to the park.
I think that's a great route.
Then the,
We might have to stop off at the Welcome Center. So the only thing I've been thinking about this too, Bonnie, is when it's coming down Lafayette Street, that we make a right there and go into Broad Street. I don't know if you wanted to do that. I'm thinking, why I'm saying this, I want to get it off of Lafayette Street without all the lights.
yeah, I mean, they're,
And I'm trying to keep it moving quicker.
well, except that I don't know unless they went Broad to Jackson. And it's not Jackson first, it's Decatur, so they would have to scoot through in the back.
I'm thinking come to the Welcome Center. If you want to come in the back of the Welcome Center
Yeah,
or in the
which is-
front of the Welcome Center.
Which is here.
And do we want to?
Well, lots of times, the public service buses park there at the Welcome Center in what I call the
Yeah,
front.
it is, and sometimes it's tough to get through there.
Hold on a second, my son comes.
well, that's, but it is an interesting thought, because if you go down Broad Street and you cut down in front of, before Pat Jackson's and the Realty place, and then come down Jackson Street, in a way, it's a nice street to come down, it's a nice thoroughfare, and you avoid the rest of the sharp turn on Lafayette Street by Rotary Park there.
By Colliers, yeah.
Then you go around, and then it's just like, because the city did a good job this year putting in a four-way stop at,
So Stacy, are you talking about cutting it by St. John and going Broad Street
Yeah,
that way? or
well, I don't know,
just
but
pulling
just see
into
if
the
you think
Welcome
that's
Center?
going to be worthwhile, because I'm just thinking we can come in the back way or stop by the Welcome Center on the back street and then
You
keep
know what, we can
going.
ask the Jitney people, because they travel Lafayette Street now.
Yeah, because you have to understand, remember everybody, they passed that we're putting another light on Lafayette Street
At St. John?
at St. John. So what I think is going to happen there is you're going to back up traffic more on Lafayette Street.
Will that be
I
after
hope
the
that's
building
not
is
a
built?
long night, because they'll have the traffic over the bridge. I mean,
Not only that, you're going to be backing up traffic kind of leave town, because now they're going to be stopping again, and then it's going to back it up probably through the next light. by the
I
Acme.
would hope that light would just be like a caution light, like a, I don't know.
I wasn't for it.
I'm telling you,
can I ask?
I've seen that traffic, you can't even see the end of the line.
Yeah,
So,
and that's from Madison.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is off, but we're talking about routes. Why couldn't Cape May, coming into town, that, I don't remember, we might have talked about it, going straight down Lafayette Street, one way into the city? No?
That would be a nightmare.
It would.
It's
Really?
been something that's been on the planning board's menu for how many years?
Oh,
Bob?
geez.
Well, Mary Notch said they did it one time, because she came home and in Washington was one way.
But it only lasted like a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Really?
It was
Okay.
such a nightmare.
yeah.
Because Arlene Hoffman said the same thing.
Well, the
She
other thing
remembered
we
it
have to
happening.
think about with Broad Street is, in the immediate future, the police department is gonna start construction there. The other thing is, you have these pedal bikes or track bikes, whatever they call them. They're gonna be running in the summertime. And then when the police department's completed, that's gonna be one of the routes that they'll be going. Broad Street's gonna become a busy street, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point, too.
Yeah.
I think straight shot, they can hopefully stop by the light and pick up people from the Welcome Center, but although walking to the mall, I mean, the route,
It's right there.
yeah.
But how
Do you
about,
really need to pick up anybody at the Welcome Center?
right, right.
Well, except if they're coming down to Jackson Street and the beach.
If they're going to the beach.
Well, how about make it right there at the corner saying, where the new police station's gonna be? There's a stop there, and the next stop is somewhere by the mall.
Well, you can't really stop, because they're gonna make a turning lane there, going on to St.
John.
John's. They're gonna make Lafayette and
When
make
they repave?
a turning
Yeah,
lane.
they're gonna widen it right, I don't know how many feet back from St. John. Like
It'll
she
be a
said, it's
turning
gonna be a turning lane.
Okay, I don't,
So are they moving the sidewalk over, or,
Yeah,
okay?
oh,
they would
And
have to.
I know
if
they're
gonna
doing
make a turning lane.
a bump out in front of the school,
No, bump in.
well, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you,
My hand was saying,
I know you have to bump in, right? I'm thinking, is she going this way?
okay, so the rest of the colors on here, I did the green along the beachfront, up to the parking lot.
So do you
But
think,
that's-
do you think he could, for the Welcome Center, pull in and like just pull in and pull out? Like, is there enough space there for him to just,
yes, has to be. From the Welcome Center?
Depends on whether there's a bus sitting there.
but
You
if
have the
they're
back,
parking-
but you have the back, yeah, well, you have the back, and that's where they all go out. Well, that's Broad Street there, right? Goes right over
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
railroad
but
tracks.
we're
I'm
talking about
thinking-
Broad Street.
I'm thinking though, just like move in and then move out, you know, like just come off of Lafayette and then come back onto Lafayette.
Have you pulled in there?
Well, you know,
I don't know, it can't come out that way, isn't it, one way?
And I don't know what the Welcome Center, the
well, when
parking
they,
looks like.
the bus, or Jitney could come to the Welcome Center, turn in there, and just stay on the other side of the public service buses. There's a lot of room there, really.
Is there going to be an entrance to the parking lot from Lafayette Street, or do they have to
Yes.
go in?
No, it'll be one from Lafayette Street as far
So
as,
there's going to be two entrances there.
Right, I think there are, right?
yeah, there, oh, I think
There aren't now.
I thought.
Well, it's a wide entrance, but it's not really too defined.
Because the sign faces the entrance that goes into the Welcome Center.
Yeah, I know the signs that,
But you can come in and make a
Yes.
right there, right?
I don't know, I haven't seen.
I'm saying
what
yes,
they've
I
done
believe there's
recently.
two, and there's one on Broad.
well, you know, that's, we're beating this turn to death, but we really gotta wait and see what they do over there, like you
Exactly.
said,
Yeah, that's true.
you know.
Yeah,
And maybe somebody has a time study.
Well, the thing
On
is,
that.
if, what I'm thinking is if there's gonna be two entrances, one to the Welcome Center and one to the parking area, the Jitney could turn into the parking area, take on passengers and go on through,
And
and then
come
go
back.
down Broad Street.
or come back out.
Well,
onto
if, I
Lafayette.
don't know how much room
Yeah,
is gonna be.
well, if they go down to
But-
Broad and make that U-turn.
But what he's saying is they could just go down to like, you know.
Broad to Decatur and
Yeah.
back, the back way to,
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
although
I think
making
that's,
that left onto
I
Jackson.
think that's spot on, whichever way you do it, because then you're,
Yeah, but making that left onto Jackson by Swains,
that's a tough one,
that's hard.
right? No,
Well,
whatever one, what
I
I'm
just
saying,
tried that the other day.
No, I
and
agree.
This is November.
I agree with you, but maybe the street before, or somehow negotiate it so that the jitney or whatever can move
Or,
quicker.
or it makes a right, goes into the parking lot and then comes out by Kyler's.
Yeah, that's the same,
Parking
that's the same,
Yeah, but
Actually-
Colliers,
that intersection's tough.
But you know what I'm saying, but, so
but
you
that
make a
would, but
right.
Lafayette ends at Colliers.
Right.
Broad Street doesn't. Broad Street ends at
Yeah, I know, but
Swains.
you're gonna come out at Swains, make a right, go into the Jackson Street lot, and then come out at Kyler's. and
Oh,
make a
okay, I
right.
see what you're saying.
Hey, that's,
That's.
But it's
that's
still getting.
I'm just trying to get people not having the jitney stop on the street. You know what I'm saying? Trying to have it stop
That's an
Unless
excellent,
there's loading
that's another good idea.
off of the
Yeah,
area.
And if I could say again, and I said it last night, the city, if the ultimate aim of the city is to keep Cape May friendly and things, we have to provide these services, and it shouldn't be looked upon as, we're losing revenue on these spots, or make it so that if the jitney wants to come through the parking lot, that there's a safe place to do it. The amount of spots that you might have to give up in terms of parking to make a jitney or something go through the city and stuff is what we should all want.
Yeah, I mean, I think the jitney could navigate the,
I think the
Oh, I
Jitney
think
can too.
it's,
in the
I think they're
Jackson
pretty
Street.
wide,
Yeah, they are.
All I'm saying is I hope
And
that,
I think
yeah.
it's perfect, because then people are like, oh, look, I can pay, stay here, and then pick up the jitney.
Right, no, it's brilliant, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, I hope it never comes back that we're gonna lose so many hours of revenue at a parking meter.
I don't see us having to remove any meters for
No.
that.
No, I'm just saying, going on record now, so they don't say, oh,
Right. Well, that's why I was trying to make that statement last night, that it's not just for the tourism, but it's to move the other people from the other end of town into the center of town without them taking their cars. That's what I was trying to get across
Yeah.
last night also.
yeah.
As I said, green, coming down Beach, up to the parking lot, back again. And red is the existing, what's going now.
Could you
Coming out of elementary, going down Madison to Michigan, Massachusetts,
Well,
Texas
that's
Avenue.
been in existence, right?
Right. And
I
they were
think
doing,
that would- I think
and
that's
apparently,
pretty good.
I did get data. There were 3 jitneys running. So I'm assuming the other one went the other way out of the parking lot and did this route, the backwards way. And the yellow one I put in were the state streets. And I had that one coming out of the elementary school down to Michigan, and then the first street it would take would be Missouri to Pittsburgh, and then Pennsylvania, and then Virginia, and then Cape May, and then Idaho, and then circling into the parking lot, and then coming out of the parking lot and going down, I put Maryland, it could be New York, it could be New Jersey, but back to Madison, up to Columbia, and down Columbia to Ocean Street, and then up Ocean. So some of these routes cross over, and you had mentioned hubs.
But that's not bad when they cross over. like
No, it's a
that.
good,
No, because I think when you were talking about hubs, right? Jackson Street, you have that one there, and then you can also map the beach one there, can be the other hub.
well, it could be the elementary school, it could be Pittsburgh Avenue. And there's,
Right, but I'm saying if if you come from the school, right, and you come down, and you're taking it down Jackson Street, you get off at Jackson Street, you could hop on at that same corner, the other bus, which is
the
the
red one,
red one, to go to the Cove,
right,
right? Or to go
to the end of Broadway. anyway.
or to go to, say, Peter Shields. So you're only getting off one and getting on the other one, so that you're on the mall. The only one I was thinking about is that we're not going from the Pittsburgh parking lot to the mall.
Yeah, you are,
But I'm saying like
like a direct. The yellow one
the
goes to
yellow
the
one,
mall.
mall, okay.
So they can either, the people in the state streets can hub at the Pittsburgh Avenue lot, and they can
Right.
do the beach one, or they can do the town one, or they can do take this one to the mall.
So the one that goes, the yellow one, we should have it stop by the mall you have it stop at Ocean and by Victorian Towers?
Yep.
So they can pick up the yellow or the red one there,
Right.
which is good. And then from the school, they can get yellow or red, or
They could get yellow, red, or blue.
yellow, red, or blue.
And from here, they can get green, red, or yellow.
Should we go out and drive these things to get some sort of a timing?
Well, and
I know that sounds crazy, but
you know what?
No,
I
I
would
think that way you
propose-
can look at where they could stop at.
Yeah, I mean, that's something where it would be worth having somebody do that in a
I mean, it's
professional
hard
way.
to do
to-
because there's no traffic there now.
No, but I'm saying you have somebody that you can say, this person does traffic flow analysis just for this, and then you have the best,
My thought is to invite Manny to come down.
Oh, there you go. 'Cause he
and-
can tell us.
Exactly,
Is
exactly.
Manny the
And we
parking-
did that
He's
before.
the jitney guy.
okay.
He's the president of.
I mean, it's a great idea.
Well, we haven't hired them yet this year, though.
No, but he'd be a great resource.
Yeah.
And the other thing, while you're talking about Manny, I think, can we get copies of the old contracts so each one of us could just look it over to get an idea of what we're talking about if it gets to that point, or?
What would the old or the recent one?
Well, the
Well,
thing is,
the
I mean,
most recent
but
one.
we can give you the contract, but the idea is that it'll probably be changed anyway.
Well, some of it'll be changed, and that's what we gotta look at. Do we wanna change it, or, I mean, we'll have to change some of it.
But is that more M-Track?
Well, no, that's not to do with the finances, I don't think.
Okay,
I mean,
Well,
that's.
in a way
yeah,
it is, but
Yeah, it isn't, because M-Track's job is to,
find the money.
yes, to pay the contract.
But I
I'm on
think,
both, so it doesn't really matter.
but I think we should sort of get an idea, like, the last year the trial, the jitney ran, whatever you want to call it, I really wasn't too involved, and I didn't know, you know, the parking committee was sort of defunct, and,
Oh, it was defunct.
yes,
So
so.
I can get you the contracts.
If you got a,
Yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
trying to tear it apart or do anything like that. I just would like to bring myself up to speed as to what was in it.
What we don't have on this plan, which we had all talked about before, was maybe a golf cart going back and forth for the help,
To Bank Street.
on a place where we could put the help to park.
Yeah, and
And we would be paying for it, the business would be paying for them to park in a certain location.
they would, I would suggest that the businesses purchase the permits.
They do what?
Purchase the permits
Oh, the permits.
for the Bank Street, for their employees to park. We can throw in here, Bob and I and Jim met with Dennis on Monday to hash out Dennis's vision of, you know, what he needs from us. And he agrees with setting up a separate unit to manage the transportation and parking, et cetera. He did some research and, you know, he said in the state of New Jersey, there's two different entities. There's an authority, which is a standalone, where the city would appoint the commissioners. They would create the body, appoint the commissioners, kind of like the housing authority. Or the utility, which is similar to the tourism utility, the beach utility, et cetera, and then define the funding that will, M-Track would define the funding that would support that. He felt we had to define our audience, but I think we've done a good job of doing that. You know, it's the visitors coming in for day trips, it's the residents/renters, it's the employees, and I threw in the Victorian Tower residents, because they are part of what's parking on our streets. Bob had suggested that we somehow set up some independent contractors to run the golf carts, to kind of like a business. And I know there was the whole discussion about decaling golf carts and things like that last night at the meeting, but they would be like Uber on golf carts, you know, to take these employees, Victorian resident, Tower residents, and anybody else that, you know, is standing someplace and wants to go one other place. And it would be free to the riders except for tips, I guess, 'cause-
That's a great concept.
Well, it's just something they should try, maybe, you know.
I mean, again, if the whole idea is, again, the traffic world, the parking world, what is the ultimate vision for the city? You know, and the idea is to make it more stress-free and more,
less stress-free, or more stress-free, you're right, less stress.
calming.
Well, that's why Dennis really wanted to get together the other day and sort of see if we couldn't mesh a little better, you know, instead of, there's a disconnect here and there, you know.
Well, and his suggestion, and I totally agree with it, because I know you wanted us to have a report ready for December, it's not gonna happen.
Well, I was just pushing.
I know. But he suggested doing a Phase 1 report, which would focus more on 2023. And we talked about some of the things that could happen in 2023, not only the contracting with the shuttle, but the whole education, communication, marketing, whatever.
Well, yeah,
And
because
then
Bonnie, if we
doing-
don't get it done soon, then we're going to miss that opportunity.
Right, exactly. So I'm thinking we should be able to do sometime in January, get a Phase 1 report to City Council.
And the other
Because you have to
thing that
understand,
we-
you're losing me after January.
Right.
The other one that we thought, Stacy, that this coming summer, we should somehow figure out some way to do a survey. You know, not crazy, but some easy
Well, and
survey.
Even just
At the meeting last
suggestions.
night, they talked about the fact that they're going to do, apparently Casey has a method of doing some kind of survey for the people, for the old library building, or what is the current library building, to what people want to see done with that building. So surveying, I guess, the residents.
Yeah.
But we
But
talked about that,
then we
plus
would
maybe
be-
having a town hall meeting, to have the residents and whoever
Yeah.
come and say, what do you want to do for parking and
Right.
and
So
transportation?
like Bonnie said, there's gonna be like there's gonna be this summer, and then figure everything out so that the next summer, we're really got everything nailed down, sort of.
Right.
That's the way,
Right, because
We saw it.
I like, Bonnie, that you put it down Columbia, because you know there's a lot of people park there that go into work or whatever, so it does make sense having that come down that street.
Exactly. And then he said part of the Phase 1 plan would be to explain what's coming in Phase 2, you know, in the Phase 2 plan. He wanted us to look at a parking garage again in Phase 2. And I immediately said no, but I need to ask him, or maybe you can ask him why he said that. Because he feels he can fund it.
Yeah, but it's not the whole idea is that a parking garage would only be beneficial for a couple weeks out of the whole year.
2 months, maybe, July.
the
and August.
occupancy.
Not even that.
It's the
You're
same
not-
way when they wanted to buy the Admiral Hotel before they tore it down. There was several big corporations coming, and the whole thing came down to the occupancy rate, what it would be. And you have a core summer, and then you have some, you know, each end of the core or the summer, but it still don't carry, it never carried what they had projected.
How many rooms did they have in the Admiral?
Oh, boy, I forget now.
But so,
But you have to understand,
Because the Congress Hall has over 100 rooms.
Oh, the Admiral had much more.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
but
And
you
they're able to
understand
pretty much.
Parking
They
was
were-
down this year.
I don't think so, because I got the rates, I got the report from
Well,
Neil.
The money's down, is that what you're talking?
Well, Neil told us money was down.
But the end
But
of the
he
year
hasn't gotten all
isn't
the-
finished yet.
Yeah, he hasn't
Yeah.
gotten all the stuff from Park Mobile.
Wait a minute, you,
Go ahead, Mark.
he wants to say something.
excuse me,
Sorry.
and I still believe this 100%, the city needs a parking garage. The idea again is if, my vision of Cape May is you want to inscribe as much as you can of the city to have an idyllic place where it doesn't become totally congested. You want to make it like it's a real-life Disneyland of historic buildings. And something like with a parking garage, you can funnel all the people who want to come into Cape May City, put them there, because that supports every business, every restaurant, and makes it much easier, and then you have a much more efficient trolley service or,
And that's 2 months out of the year. The rest of the year, that building is going to be empty.
yeah, but again, okay, I understand what you're saying, but it's like, if you, the problem is, in my mind, it's 2 months, 3 months, but it's the idea of, like, from my end, as a businessman, I pay a lot of money in taxes, and paying a lot of money in taxes,
You wouldn't pay enough to pay for that parking garage.
well, I'm staying, it's still going at scale, I'm gonna be like, ask the question, like I say, but I wanna know why again, because how many businesses are there that support keeping Cape May the way it is? How much is it worth year-round, so that you know you can come into Cape May, find a place to park? Maybe I'm wrong, but you wanna have that year-round, people coming in.
Well, sure,
Which is
that's
why
what
we're promoting.
This is beautiful, this is great, well,
4 years ago, we were told that one parking space in a garage would be $20,000,
I
I thought it was 30.
$30,000.
really.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So you're
Now, this
you're
is a guy,
talking 10 or
the
12
guy
million
that told
dollar
us
building.
this runs a parking garage in Philadelphia.
Now, that was 4 years ago.
He has a house down in Pittsburgh and Beach, I think.
Right.
He came here and sat here and told us that.
But you have to understand too, when you talk about parking garage, I'm just gonna give it an example. Say we put the parking garage where the Acme is, right? Now, every person that comes down Lafayette Street that turns in there, you're gonna have to wait for the gate to pull up, for them to pull in. So now you're gonna be backing up traffic even further down for them to
Well, and
pull
you
in.
can't, you're not supposed to make a left turn into the Acme.
You know how you could fix that? You could have a circular road and you get them on the top. So they have to come up and then park.
Well, even if you put it at Jackson Street,
That's
it would be
right.
the same thing. It would be congestion of people, you know, then you have,
Yeah, it's not a great
But they also
situation.
said, we have to look at how much can the city actually hold?
and how much
There
do you
is
service?
there is a bursting point to the city.
Yeah.
You're
that
right,
You can't
you're
get
right.
too many people in. So the more people you bring in, you're gonna have more wear and tear on the roads. You're actually gonna increase the cost for your infrastructure.
Well, and
It's
it's,
services is what we're really talking about. The more people, the more services you need.
I mean, like, in your two, well, your cricket club hasn't hit a summer yet, but in the Mad Batter, do you have an empty table on Saturday nights or Friday nights?
We do pretty well,
Right.
yeah.
I can't, I'm telling you, like, I've sat down trying to get reservations, and if I want to eat at 9:30 at night,
That's all right.
or 4 o'clock in the afternoon,
Yeah, well,
But other than that,
my son says if I want to eat at the cricket club, I better make a reservation. So
now,
So he's telling that to his father, so you tell me. No, I mean, you make a good point. It's also a question of infrastructure, how much more tourism, how Cape May sees itself for the future, right? I mean, it's,
And Mark, your restaurant stays open year-round.
right.
Right? A lot of these restaurants aren't anymore.
Yeah.
They're closing earlier and earlier because they already made their money and they want to go
well, plus,
on vacation.
recently, it's part of the problem is they can't keep the help.
well, that's a big problem to help, I think.
Yeah, that's another whole nother issue to help. But I mean, again, that's why I look at whichever way you can make sure that, maybe a parking garage doesn't work, but you have people working year-round. People have a place to go to Cape May. The people that have businesses here are all supported by it. So it's so important for businesses to be a year-round business. It invests in the community. It makes
If
it,
they want to be year-round, not everybody wants to be
I
year-round.
understand. You can't, you know.
The, as I said, I got reports from Neil on the parking revenue. The disappointing thing, and I sent him another email today, is that the Park Mobile revenue is not broken down by zone, by parking zone. So it could be anywhere. Now, it's interesting to see that his report is only through, I don't know, first week probably in November. And we're close to hitting what last year was. Last year was 2,000,000, I don't have my glasses on, 23, 18 and some cents. This year, currently to date, we're 2,109,000. So we're not that far off. And we don't have December revenue, and we don't have 3 weeks of November. So we'll be the same.
For
as
the
we were,
meters, you
If
mean?
not more.
For the meters you're talking about.
The meters
Oh, well,
and the
meter-
kiosks.
Well, yeah.
Because,
It was 40,000 down. I think it was in the Star and Wave today.
yeah,
Something
oh,
like
was it? I haven't read it. But the credit debit line, and that was part of my email to him, I'm assuming are the kiosks around the mall, because nothing else in town takes a credit card.
Oh, okay.
It's only the kiosks.
Well, no, you could do it, Park Mobile takes.
No, there's a Park Mobile line,
Okay,
and then there's a credit debit line.
So that's probably what that is.
yeah.
But, because I was trying to figure out where the biggest revenue was, where most popular parking areas are. But because the Park Mobile revenue isn't broken down that way,
They can break it down, I'm sure.
I
mean,
don't
it's
know,
like,
ask Neil.
it's just like if we all had, use it, it would tell you what we used, which zone, and which city. So they have to be able
It
to,
should be, because each,
I
each
mean, I
meter
believe
has
that,
a
I'm
zone number.
100%.
Code number.
Yeah.
That would be, that's just not doing data mining. But I also wanted to say again, in terms of this whole transportation thing, I believe that historic Cape May should be extremely pricey,
Yeah,
Extremely
it's
what?
the
extremely
heart of Cape
pricey.
May, Yeah,
Should be $3-4 an hour. And just before I'm gonna say why, then that money helps support these outward programs to make the jitney or the golf cart or Uber viable for people to say, yeah, if I park down on Pittsburgh, I can get into town on this.
Well, I suggested the other day, we raise all the meters up.
And I don't necessarily agree with that, if it's just a revenue grab.
Well, we're gonna need revenue for this.
Well, but, you know what, just raising the mall meters by $1 funded the whole jitney in 2019.
Well-
So, but, you know, I still agree with the whole performance pricing, where,
No, I agree with the theory, yeah, there's no
I mean,
doubt
if
about
you
it.
raise the rates enough, then the employees and the, you know, the people going to the beach, it blows my mind when I see people pulling beach buggy things out of their car on the mall, that they're parking there and not,
What even makes me
Yeah.
more irritating when you see
You know,
somebody parking there just for advertisement purposes.
yeah.
The thing is, people go on vacation, they don't care what they spend.
No, I
I
agree.
mean, some of them do, but most of them, they just, we're on vacation, it's,
Yeah, by Independence Hall in Philadelphia, it's going to be a lot more expensive than it is if you're in West Philadelphia
Oh,
or North Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
That's primo spots.
go in those areas, you get shot.
No,
Well, and as I said the other day, when we were meeting with
I've still got
Dennis,
all my, piece-
Curtis jumped on the performance pricing and raised it to $6 an hour,
I believe that.
the Acme lot, so that the people that want to use those businesses can actually park there.
Right, and the idea again is you make it more money, that's so the city can, again, repeating myself, justify strengthening the transportation service, right?
So people park
Thank you.
away from the center.
What about, I'm gonna throw this out there, and I don't have the ability to make it complete, but what if the city had their own valet type of parking? But I don't know where to put the cars if we get them. I'm just putting it out there,
Yeah,
but I don't know where to
because
park the cars, but I'm saying,
It would
that
have
way,
to
you
be
know.
someplace close, because if you're driving that car all the way to Pittsburgh Avenue or to the elementary school, and then they got to run back, you know,
Yeah, I'm with you, I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there as a,
it'd be nice. I mean, if we could develop the parking lot on Elmira Street and use it for valet parking, then,
No, listen, I think they should do that a long time ago.
oh, yeah.
It's,
I'm,
you know, do you have copies of that Elmira Street?
Yeah, I do, and I
Well, if
just
you do,
found
I
them.
can make you copies.
No,
I have them at home.
I have this one that you gave me, that's
Oh, no, this is
Bank Street,
Bank
isn't it?
Street.
Yeah. I was going through my old folders today.
Well, you know, it's not a big thing, but I
you
don't
know,
know.
if you have, you know, valet parking, you can actually stack park a lot more cars.
Yes.
Well, and we talked about that, doing that at Jackson Street,
Yeah,
doing stacked parking. There it is.
Yeah,
Well, this is the
Oh,
survey
that's-
for the
yeah.
building.
yeah, I'll get you copies of
Oh,
it.
I'm sure I have them.
And if you told people, it's like, it could be a half an hour before you get your car, and then if you do better, which hopefully you do all the time, people are happy.
well,
You stack
what you
it.
do is you make it the app. I'm coming to get my car,
Yeah.
so that they have time to go get the car and bring it back.
Even better.
So we can park the cars on the other side of the bridge, you know.
Yeah, I mean, right, you're right, you got the technology, it makes sense.
And I did reach out to the Jitney people to get the reports in Excel, because I received them in PDF. And he did send them to me, but it was like 3 o'clock this afternoon, so I couldn't do anything with them. But I can tell you that the most popular times are from 3 to 9, 3 to 10. But I've been trying to reach Manny, but his voicemail's full and he hasn't picked up, to find out, because they just said to me, it's Jitney 1, Jitney 2, and Jitney 3, and I don't know which routes these are.
Well, that's basically what we said the other day, it's like dinner time.
Right. And also, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are the most popular days. The numbers are higher on those 3 days.
Well, that would make sense, the weekends.
Yep,
I think we also have to look at, too, if we want more than one
more than one.
jitney on some of these colored routes.
Well, we've already got 4.
Right.
So a question,
Because I think it's gonna take too long if they get on it, and they wanna get, it's gonna be an almost, I'm just looking on Beach Drive, right? You have them go from one end to the other. That has to be at least a half hour almost.
But there's, how many going on Beach Drive? There's 2. The red one goes on Beach Drive and so does the green. And you've got yellow and blue going to the mall. So,
and again, if the city has places for all the different businesses in the historic district, and places for the trucks to pull over, then you'll have a smoother Beach Drive, you'll only have,
Well, one thing though that I said is that we make all these loading zones, and then these trucks park in the street. They
Yeah.
don't park in the loading zone.
yeah.
no, that's wrong.
That
Well,
happens around the mall. Is there
You
a
see it on
loading zone at the
Decatur
mall?
Street.
I-
You have a big, they took away 3 parking spots.
That's
The
wrong.
truck sits right in the street and unloads. Why do we, as a city, have these loading zones where they're not utilizing them?
Carpenter's Lane, they just stop right.
Yeah, they do.
No,
Are
if
there
they
any
have that,
loading
that's shame
zones
on
on
them.
Carpenter's,
Right.
on Carpenter's Lane, are there loading zones?
On the ends, isn't there, Stacy? I think there are on the ends.
I know there's handicapped on the ends, but I don't know.
Well, maybe that's what I'm thinking. I don't know
Um,
for sure. But I'll tell you what, they just stop right in
Oh,
the
they do.
traffic
They
lane.
do. And
That's
then
it.
people waiting for somebody to pull out, stop too.
That's another problem.
Yeah, but
But
Decatur
that
Street,
you'll
I've,
never-
I've seen Decatur Street where they just stop to unload.
Well,
And I've seen it on Beach Drive, right there by Steggers, too. We got a loading zone at the front, one across the street, and they stop right in front of the Aquateria, and they're gonna unload all the food and everything else.
The loading zone at the corner is only until noon.
Right, that's
Right.
correct. So again, that whole block, again, if the master plan is to make it more comfortable, then the city in its, wisdom should make that so all the trucks are there, so they never have to compete with the carts or park, and that's a cluster when you see a truck trying to get into one of these spots around cars, so just make it easy for the truck to pull from George's all the way back.
Well, I think more importantly, to get a handle on that stuff, the city has to have an ordinance where the delivery trucks have to be in town or out of town by like 9 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock in the morning. Get in here, unload your goods or pick them up, whatever you're doing, and you're out of town. I mean, it's easy to have an ordinance. And once they know that ordinance is in effect, they'll load their trucks so the deliveries are first in Cape May and they,
Let me just,
How
go-
many
can I,
trucks come into
can I,
this town during the day?
can I go on record, just,
How could you get them all in here before 9 o'clock?
well, that's a good point. I don't know.
let me go back,
But they're different companies, so they would work it out. Now, if they want to stack up on Beach Drive early in the morning, I don't know. But some towns do that.
yeah, I mean, for many years, we asked the garbage trucks not to come before, let's say, 9 o'clock.
Well, they make too much darn noise.
Okay, I'm just
Well,
trying to
plus they
say,
smell bad, and
you
you've
tried
got
to
people
say
sitting on the porch.
how they could, let's say you come between 8 and 9, because most people aren't eating at the batter, 8 o'clock we start, minimize the eau de garbage.
It's not too
But they'll say, sure, they'll show up at 11, 11:30, because there's no one getting up and down the streets, something happens, there's no sort of rhyme or reason. And for years, we said, can you please come this time? Because we used to get reviews that says, eating on the front porch of the Mad Batter with the smell of the garbage truck, waffling by, because they have to stay on this side of the street, because somebody's on that side, and it's just,
I can tell you, I was sitting on the porch of the Batter when there was a guy sitting, you have that smoking area in front of the annex
oh, that one room,
Porch.
room 20, yeah.
porch. He was smoking a cigar, and it was right into the
Into the, yeah,
under the porch.
that's something I understand what you're saying.
It was probably him smoking.
No,
No, it wasn't, we looked, trust me.
no, I would be embarrassed as a cigar smoker. I mean, I would love it if it says I'm a vacationer and it says I can have a cigar, but you're living large when you're doing that in front of all these people. It's like, it's basically like saying like, you know, it's, but, you know, I could be one of those people, but I'd smile. I'd wave my hand this way.
Oh, dear.
All right,
Well, what's our next step?
I think we have to do a field trip.
Well, the next, when's the next meeting, by the way? That's another thing.
December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day.
Oh, jeez. December 7th.
And that's the other thing we need to talk about. The meeting after that would be the 21st of December.
Oh, that's too,
I will not be here,
well, a lot of, everybody's so busy then.
so
Parties and
I'm
everything.
thinking cancel.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how long are you going to be involved with this committee?
I guess I have one more meeting, 2 more meetings.
We could appoint you as a member, you know.
Or I can come sit in the audience and give my input.
Well, you can come back as a civilian.
Yeah,
You could be member of the committee, you know.
That's what I mean.
yeah.
Make an honorary member.
Well, just a member.
Member,
All right,
Yeah.
distinguished member.
we have the
Hey,
capacity
hey,
to do
I
that.
have to be voted,
Yes. Well, no, you have to be appointed.
appointed, yeah.
Oh,
Just trying to figure out my calendar.
I'm just trying to think if we have any vans that I could rent for the city and we can all go together.
any what, Stacy?
Any vehicles that are large enough for us all to sit in. Could be 2, 4, we're gonna need at least 6 of us, I would thinking.
Yeah. Doesn't the city have a van? Don't they have a van?
I think they did have a van.
I know, I'm gonna look into it and I'll find out if we can get a van,
Okay.
maybe for
And
the
I
next
did
meeting.
reach out to Lou asking about IT support for an app, but Lou's out this week, so I
Yeah.
haven't heard from him.
Well, wouldn't you almost want to involve the Jitney Company and say, come down, we want to make with you an analysis of the best way on this route?
They did that in 2019. They came down and we all climbed on the jitneys and we, you know, rode around the city.
I think that one, we have to do one by ourselves. And then I think the second one should be with the Jitney Company.
Okay,
But I
that's a
think-
good, that's a
I think
good,
we have to get our little,
that's
The
a,
Ducks in
other
a row
thing is,
first.
did we have
That's
to
smart.
bid this out?
Yes. Do we
Yes.
have to?
Yep.
Because
So
of
then
that?
you want to
Why?
watch what you do is
With
bringing
the
them
red-
into the
Well,
fold.
that's what I was saying,
before
you
you-
gotta be careful what we say with the Jitney Company if we haven't bid or give them any contract.
Well, and they did all this before we contracted with them, because we were exploring.
but again, we say we're a committee and we're trying to do the best for the city, right? We get paid enough money, we can get lawyers to defend ourselves.
Okay, Stace.
$1.
I'm gonna check, you're gonna work with Gill and Schwartz on the revising the ordinance.
What, oh, yeah, this, thank you.
Something, oh, you were gonna get us the contracts.
May I ask a question? Excuse me,
Go ahead.
it's like, in terms of what, last night, in terms of what we presented, how did that go to a closed session and voted on, or?
No, it has to become an ordinance, and then it has to go through 2 readings for them to approve the ordinance.
So in other words, you make an ordinance and then you have people come and say,
We'll have an introduction, and then like 2 weeks later, they vote on it. And then if it's passed, then it takes 20 days before it's put into place.
They vote to introduce it, and then 2 weeks later, they vote to, well, they open it up for the public to speak. And sometimes, depending on the speak, it either gets tabled or
Changed.
changed, or, you know, or include, or, you know, voted
so
in.
is that something, again, that we have to come out to,
It's on my list for me to talk to Chris Gill and Schwartz and put an ordinance into place and introduce it.
Yeah.
no, I'm saying,
Because-
I'm just asking from a thing where,
Do we want to come to the meeting and support it?
if we have to, I mean, so, because I know I'm doing some traveling, but I'd be committed to coming if I could, but I'm saying it's, again, stressing for the good of the city, we should be proactive with this, and it shouldn't be like this should be done, you know, and it's,
Yeah, well, I'm thinking the first
and some people are,
meeting in December is the 6th, right? And then the next meeting would be the 20th. I wouldn't be around for the 20th.
I wouldn't either. But I'm just
I
saying,
don't know that you can get it, do you think you can get it together for the 6th?
I will try to get it together for the 6th. And to be honest with you, I don't know if you can get it on the 6th, if they'd be voting on it on the 21st. It might, or the
20.
19th. It might be going into the following year.
Okay,
You know what, Stacy, that almost would make it better, because what I'm thinking is that second reading for support, you should be getting some business people out here to get up to the microphone and say, we support this.
right,
You.
So I could get it on the document, or on the docket.
But that 21st, there's so much happening with Christmas and
Oh.
everything.
I mean, if I'm allowed to do something like that, I'm just
I think you're
talking
better
out
off
loud, I could run a whole,
waiting another 2 weeks and putting it on in
Well, the
January.
Well, January would be the,
the first meeting is the 1st,
right.
If they
well,
keep it there.
Right, and that's always a long meeting,
right,
so it would probably be after that.
yeah.
So
Because
it's
that's
2
when
weeks.
everybody's sworn in, and then all the annual things have to,
And
Yeah.
I gotta make sure that we are gonna be able to have the votes to get introduced.
oh, so you know what I'd like to do with that, just thinking about what you're saying is, I think we should write an editorial piece, I don't know if that's the right word, a mission statement, and then go to like capemag.com and tell them that this is what's brewing in City Hall. I'll even approach them from whatever way, from a business side and from the other side, because
who's capemay.com, is that?
Bernie Haas.
Bernie?
Because that's an interesting question that's been going on for so long, and I think if it's spun out there about why, or, I don't know how I can disseminate that, I'm saying, it's like, almost like vote for me, or vote for this, you know, vote for Jackson Street, vote for the city,
Yeah.
or whether that's illegal or wrong. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
It's, I abstained from the original voting, so it's not like that I'm allowed to say anything, you know?
But, I mean, we should, somebody from the chamber should be here, certainly, I would hope.
Oh, you know what, then I will personally I will call our Doreen.
Okay,
I will personally do that tomorrow.
okay.
Well,
Okay.
we don't know exactly when we want them here yet, what dates, but.
No, but find out if
but
she'd be interested.
Sort of massage them that,
Yeah.
be on call, sort of.
Well, I mean, there I put in my many years of good eating and say, look, this is really important for who we are in the town, and I lay it on there, that would be like,
I'll get back, Bonnie, I have the contracts, the ordinance, the van. Anything else I have?
No.
Okay.
Bon, excuse me, so how would I, let's say, whoever I talk to, who should I refer them back to you if need be, if they want more clarification?
Sure.
Well, you could, but I mean, I think the thing you just have to tell them, we're trying to organize a transportation center that's gonna do a better job of the parking and bringing people into the center of town and, you know.
Well, you know what, that was great, just send me like 5 sentences, and I'll run with it. I need the segue, I need the opening point, because I can even try to get on the
You
radio,
to do it, or Stacy do it?
No, why don't you do it?
Okay.
whatever, see, I'm saying it's
No,
great.
I'll do it, I'll
Yeah,
get it to
yeah,
you.
because I think the point that we're trying to kick home is that we're cutting through the mall. So we're supporting the mall without having people sit on the jitney and getting frustrated.
Right.
And
That's the whole
Stacy,
point.
it's not just the mall and the uptown, I mean,
Oh, no, 'cause
it's
we-
the other business,
Right,
Long
because-
Beach Drive and every place.
Right, because we're cutting right through the mall to the
Yeah.
beach.
Yep.
And then going up Beach Drive and then coming back up towards the mall. And I think that's the most important thing, is to keep that
Flow.
one running more than anything. People are willing to sit when they know they're gonna go from the school down to Pittsburgh to the beach, right? They like, okay, we're gonna be here for a little while. But when they leave the school and they wanna go to the mall, they
Right.
don't wanna be, sitting in traffic.
Yeah, they're anxious to get there and spending some of that money.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean.
But you know, in the summertime, I hear what you're saying, Stacy, but when you're coming down Beach Drive, I don't think those people are in a hurry.
I don't think they are either.
They're almost like the Mack trolley. They're sightseeing. They're
Right, but I think people coming from the school are on a mission,
yeah.
you know?
Right, I agree with that. You're there, the beach is right there. But it's the same way on Beach Drive. If you had one area where the trucks parked to unload, then there's less area you can't see anything. It might be that one block of trucks, but then everything else is nice because that's why you go down Beach Drive to look at the beautiful houses and the beaches
Yeah.
and
The dunes.
and the dunes and Flipper, and so I meant, that's what I think has to be kept saying too. This is the mission of this, to make this transportation system to be proud of and say, yeah, I get on it and I focus my way through this historic, beautiful town and I'm unencumbered by, garbage trucks and, traffic jams. It should be it's a Disney World.
Okay, I will
It
make
is already.
I will make a stab at beginning the verbiage for phase one,
Okay.
so that we can all review it. And I'm gonna have Jim Testa look at it too, because he has always been good about.
Another question, if I can, I'm not mentioning the person, you probably could figure it out, but if I can get on the radio to talk about this for some time in the near future, would anybody be interested? No?
Not I.
I don't like the radio.
No?
Dave?
No, thanks.
Well, you know what, if you give me, and I'll just tell you who it is.
Well, you know what, I'm not gonna say no.
I'll
Down
tell
the
you who-
line, when we get further into it, I'll be.
I'll tell you
willing to
who
go
it
on
is
to
and
it.
what it is, so it's, I've become friends with Victor, and I do a lot of work with him, and I've been on the air at least 3 different times, and so has Hawthorne and Davis, and so has Mita, and, he has people, veterans, and he has people who are important in the community for wherever they do, and I tell him to let us tell a story, Mark, from someone who's been here for 40-some years, third-generation business. What frustrates you? And then they could have it from someone who grew up here and here and here, as the person who wrote more parking tickets than anybody in Cape May.
Well, Mark, I think it's like later on, once we get things nailed down, maybe like Stacy said, but right now, I'd be afraid I'd say something and then we'd have to like go back on it or,
Yeah, we wanna make sure we
something
don't-
like that.
don't-
So right now, it's like,
That's why I shouldn't even bother to try to say anything.
Well, no, I think
Why don't we
I'll make
discuss-
up some talking points for you.
Okay,
So if you see somebody that's in business or go to the chamber or whatever, you got in your mind sort of the basic